Welcome to our channel, Famous Stories in English. Are you learning English? Great! Let's learn English with this very interesting story. Today, we are going to learn about a man who changed the world. But did you know? He failed in school? People thought he was not smart, but they were wrong. This is the true story of Albert Einstein. Let's begin. People often think Albert Einstein was always a genius. They believe he was born with a special brain, but that is not true. In fact, many people said he was slow. His teachers were not impressed. Some of them said he would never succeed. He even failed an entrance exam. Yes, he failed. Can you believe that? A boy who could not pass a simple test later became one of the most famous scientists in history. But at that time, no one believed in him, not even his teachers. At school, he did not speak much. He was very quiet, but not because he didn't care. He was thinking all the time about numbers, about light, about time. He had questions, so many questions, but people did not want to hear them. They thought he was strange. They told him to stop, but he didn't stop. He could not stop. Something inside him was always asking, why? Why does light move so fast? Why does time change? Why do we exist? No one had answers, but he kept asking. One day, a teacher told him, "You will never do anything important." That sentence stayed in his mind. He could not forget it. He asked himself, "Is the teacher right? Am I really not smart? Or is the world just not ready for my questions?" That was the moment he made a decision. He would prove them wrong, not by shouting, not by arguing, but by thinking, by discovering, by showing the world what he saw in his mind. He didn't know how. He didn't even know when. But he believed something. He had a different way of seeing the world, and maybe, just maybe, that could be enough. So he waited. He studied. He failed again and again, but every failure was a step. Every no was a chance to learn. And even when people laughed, he kept going, because deep inside, he had one question louder than all the others. What if I am right and they are wrong? Many people said Albert was not smart. They said he was slow. Even as a child, people didn't understand him. He started speaking later than other children. That made others think something was wrong. But Albert was not broken. He was thinking, always thinking, more than speaking. In school, he had problems. He did not enjoy the way teachers taught. He wanted to understand why things worked, not just remember answers. But teachers wanted students to sit still and follow rules. Albert asked too many questions. They did not like that. They said he was difficult. They said he was lazy. One teacher even told him, "You will never achieve anything in life." Those words stayed with him. They hurt him deeply. But he did not give up. His grades were not very good. When he tried to enter a technical school, he failed the exam. That was a big moment in his life. He had studied hard. He really wanted to pass, but he failed. People began to doubt him even more. They said, "He is going nowhere." Albert started to doubt himself too. He asked, "Maybe they are right?" He felt lost. He had so many ideas in his mind, but no one listened. His voice did not matter. His thoughts stayed inside. Later, he finished school, but he still had no job. He sent letters to many universities. He asked for a position, but every letter came back with the same answer. No one wanted him as a teacher. He was not famous. He had no connections. He was a foreigner living in Switzerland, and he had no money, no job, no place to share his ideas. Only rejection, only silence. Finally, he got a job at the patent office. It was not a university. It was not a lab. It was a small office where he looked at other people's inventions. He had to decide if their ideas were original or not. It was not exciting, but it gave him something important: peace and time. In that quiet job, he began to think again. He used his free time to study, to write, to imagine. During the day, he worked. At night, he dreamed. No one was watching, but he was preparing for something big. Even when the world said no, he kept working, because inside, he still believed something. Maybe they are wrong. Maybe I am right. Working at the patent office was not Albert's dream, but it gave him something very important. It gave him time. Time to think, time to study, time to write. The office was quiet. No one told him what to do with his thoughts. No one interrupted his ideas. So he used that time to imagine, to work on problems that had lived in his mind for years. He read scientific papers. He studied physics. He asked questions that no one else was asking, and he started to write. He wrote his own scientific papers, not just one. In 1905, Albert wrote 4 important papers in the same year. Today, that year is called his miracle year. Each paper was different, but each one was powerful. One paper explained how light could act like particles. Another paper helped understand the size of atoms. One introduced the famous formula E equals mc squared. It said that energy and mass are really the same. That idea was new and shocking. His final paper explained the theory of special relativity. It said that time and space are connected, that nothing can go faster than light, that time is not always the same. These ideas were strange. They were not easy to accept, but they were correct. At first, no one noticed his work. Albert was just a clerk in a small office. He was not a professor. He was not famous. So people ignored him. But slowly, some scientists began to read his work. They started to understand it. They saw that it was different, and they saw that it was true. In 1908, Albert was finally offered a job at a university. It was not a big position, but it was his first step into the academic world. He started to teach. He started to speak at conferences. Some people accepted his theories, but others still rejected him. They said his ideas were too strange. They said he had no proof. But Albert did not stop. He worked harder. He wrote more papers. He answered questions. He explained his ideas again and again. Then he went further. He started to work on a new theory, a theory about gravity. For hundreds of years, people believed gravity was a force that pulled things down. But Albert had a different idea. He said gravity was not a force. He said that mass bends space. He said time moves slower near heavy objects. He called it general relativity. It was a big idea, bigger than anything he had done before. But how could he prove it? Would the world believe him this time? Albert had completed his theory of general relativity. He said that gravity was not a force. He said that space bends near heavy objects. He said that light does not travel in a straight line near something like the sun. These ideas were shocking. They were new, and many scientists did not believe them. They said, "Where is the proof?" Albert had no way to show it. His ideas were only in writing. There was no experiment yet. He needed something real, something the world could see. Then, in 1919, a rare event was coming, a total solar eclipse. During the eclipse, the sun would be completely covered for a short time. In that moment, the sky would become dark. Stars near the sun would be visible. That was important because Albert had made a prediction. He said that light from those stars would bend when it passed near the sun. The stars would appear in a different position, but only during the eclipse. If someone could take photos and compare them, they could prove that light really bends, and that Albert was right. A British astronomer named Arthur Eddington decided to help. He believed in Albert's theory. He traveled to Africa with a team. They brought cameras and telescopes. They were ready to capture the eclipse. It was risky. The weather could ruin everything. If the sky had clouds, the test would fail. They waited. And Albert waited too. He stayed in Europe. He had no control, only hope. Days passed. Then weeks. Albert heard nothing. He was nervous. He had worked for years. Everything now depended on this one moment. What if the sky was cloudy? What if the photos didn't show anything? What if he was wrong? He could not sleep well. He could not think of anything else. His future was in someone else's hands. Then, finally, the results arrived. The photos were clear. The stars had moved, just as Albert predicted. The light had bent near the sun. Space was not flat. Gravity was not just a pull. It was the shape of space and time. His theory was correct. The newspapers around the world shared the news. Einstein's theory confirmed. A new face of science. He became famous overnight. A man who once failed in school was now seen as a genius. But Albert remembered everything. He remembered the rejection, the silence, the years no one believed in him. Now the world was listening, but it had taken time and courage and failure. The question was no longer, is he right? Now the question was, what will he do next? The world now knew Albert Einstein. His theory had been proven. Scientists accepted his work. Newspapers called him a genius. People stopped him in the street. They wanted to shake his hand. They wanted to take his photo. But Albert did not feel like a genius. He remembered the days when no one believed in him. He remembered the years of silence, of rejection, of doubt. Now the world wanted his opinion on everything, not just science, on politics, on war, on peace, on education. But Albert only wanted to think, to work, to ask questions. But the world would not let him rest. His face was everywhere. His name was in every newspaper. People saw his hair, his eyes, his formula, but they didn't always understand his ideas. They loved the image, but not the message. Then came another twist, a dark one. In the 1930s, a dangerous political party took power in Germany. Albert was Jewish. He spoke against hate. He spoke against violence. But that made him a target. His books were burned. His name was attacked. He had to leave Germany. He lost his home. He lost his position. He moved to the United States. He had to start again. Again. In his new country, people welcomed him. They gave him a place to work. But war was coming. Scientists feared that Germany was building a powerful weapon, a bomb that used the science Albert helped discover. Some of his friends asked him to sign a letter to the President of the United States. The letter warned about the danger. Albert signed it. That letter helped start the atomic bomb project. Later, Albert felt deep regret. He never worked on the bomb, but his ideas made it possible. He had always wanted peace, not war. He said, "If I had known, I would have become a watchmaker." That twist in his life hurt him. He was a man who wanted to explain the stars, but his science had helped destroy cities. He carried that pain until the end. People continued to admire him, to ask him questions. But he kept saying the same thing. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Peace is more powerful than weapons. He was no longer just a scientist. He was a voice for hope, for peace, for human values. The world had changed. But Albert had not forgotten who he really was. A boy full of questions. A boy who once failed in school. A boy who dared to think differently. And because of that, the world changed forever. Albert Einstein became one of the most famous people in the world. His name was known in every country. His face was in every newspaper. Children learned about his theory in school. Scientists built on his ideas. He received awards. He gave speeches. He was admired, but fame was never his goal. He did not care about titles. He did not care about money. He only wanted to understand the universe, to answer the big questions, to know why. Even in his old age, he continued to think, to write, to question. He worked every day until the end of his life. He refused big jobs. He said no to power. He stayed simple. He stayed curious. When people asked him how he became so successful, he answered, I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious. That was his secret, not genius, not luck, just curiosity, just hard work, just never giving up. He once said, try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. That was his message. He believed in thinking for yourself, in being kind, in asking questions, in helping others, in choosing peace. Albert Einstein died in 1955, but his ideas did not die. His work changed science forever. His words inspired millions, and his story gave hope to people who felt different. People who failed. People who were told they were not good enough. His life showed that failure is not the end, that being different is not bad, that quiet minds can make the loudest change. Albert Einstein started as a boy who failed in school, a boy who did not speak early, a boy who asked strange questions. But he kept going. He kept learning. He kept thinking. He turned his questions into discoveries. He turned rejection into motivation. He showed the world something powerful. Even one person with no money, no fame, no help can change everything. So, the next time someone tells you that you are not smart enough or that your ideas are too strange, remember Albert Einstein and ask yourself, what if they are wrong and I am right? Albert Einstein's life teaches us something powerful. He was a boy who struggled. He failed tests. Teachers said he was slow, but he never stopped asking questions. He said, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. That voice inside, that curiosity, was his guide. He showed us that failure is not the end. It can be a step on the path to success. He once said, life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Every time he fell, he got up and moved on. Einstein also said, I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious. That is the heart of his story. Not genius, not luck, just curiosity and never giving up. So now, think of your own story. You may face failures or doubts. People might tell you, you can't do it. But if you keep asking, keep moving, keep learning, you can change the world. Ask yourself, what if your curiosity is your greatest talent? What if your failures are steps, not walls? Albert Einstein turned questions into discoveries. You can too. Let his life remind you, keep moving forward even when it is hard. Stay curious, ask questions, explore ideas. Don't give up. Failures are part of your journey. Albert changed science and history by never stopping. Now it's your turn. Keep asking, keep dreaming, keep moving. Your story is already beginning. Great job today. Remember, learning English is not about being perfect. It's about taking one step at a time. Practice a little every day. Speak out loud. Repeat the words. Listen again. And don't stop. You are not alone. Thousands of people around the world are learning English just like you. They are also making mistakes. They are also trying their best. So keep going. You are doing great. If this story inspired you, give it a like. Share it with someone who is also learning English. Maybe a friend, a classmate, or a family member. Let's grow together. To sob. And don't forget to subscribe for more real English stories. Simple, clear, and made especially for learners like you. You can watch this video again to practice. The more you repeat, the more confident you will feel. Every time you listen, your brain gets stronger. Your English improves. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you for speaking. Keep asking questions. Keep learning. Just like Albert Einstein. See you in the next video.